will start to come join us soon. Uh, Looks like we are live. Not sure though. So if you're online and if you're watching me, can you just give me a thumbs up or put something in the chat or comment box wherever you're watching it so that I know my audio and video is okay and then we can get started with the live session. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes before I start talking or saying anything. Wait for a couple people to join in, and then we'll get started with a couple of things for today. Bunch of stuff that we will talk about in terms of what the timeline should look like. We will also talk about your specific questions and how to tackle the upcoming admissions season. And then, of course, I will pitch some of the webinars, etc., that we are going to be doing in terms of the long form. Yeah. Um, Firstly, welcome everyone to the live session by Gradvine. I know it's been a little bit of a time. I've been traveling. I've been in the US for the last month or so, just being going around different universities, trying to get a sense of what people are saying on campus, what degree seems to be working, what sort of jobs they are getting, etc. So collecting all of that information to be able to disseminate all of that to you guys. So excited for the live session. We'll wait for a couple more people to join in, but if folks that have already joined in can tell me um, if you can tell me if I'm visible, if the audio is clear in the chat section, that'd be great. Hey man, Mohit, I'm unfortunately not in India at the moment. I'm going to be back only towards the end of July. Srikar is going to be in the office. You should just check with your account manager and just actually walk into the office. That should be okay. All right, let's see. Anybody else who's on the chat or who's on the live session, if you can just put up a comment saying yes, no. Okay, I'm going to play around with a few of these settings, see if these make sense at all. Okay, fantastic. Okay, thanks so much for confirming that you're able to see me, hear me okay. Um, all right, as usual, with everything, especially with live sessions, let's start with the timeline. This is a timeline that you need to follow if you're a fall 2025 applicant, which means that you want to start university in the fall of 2025 or August 2025. 1 year before August 2025, which is August 2024, is when the applications to universities open up. From August till the end of December, depends on the university, but broadly, that is the time in which you submit your applications. That is the time in which you get ready with all of the documents, you fill out all of the application forms online, and are ready to hit the submit button before the deadline, the first deadline of any university and course that you're applying to. Now, in order to be very successful within that timeline, the biggest thing that you essentially need to do is to make sure that there are a couple of standardized tests that are out of the way before August, that there are a couple of things in terms of university selection, the course selection, etc., that you've done by August. So here is a quick timeline of all of the things that you need to do and when you need to be ready with them by. First things first, if you are someone who's applying to the quantitative master's degrees, computer science, data science, information systems, analytics, engineering management, anything that is allied to engineering, anything that is finance related, and of course, even an MBA. If you are going to be applying to a STEM major, especially this year, we recommend and highly, highly recommend that you give the GRE. It is true for all years, more so for this year, because we've seen at least last year for fall 2024, a lot more students getting in if they had given the GRE. And keep in mind, not the home-based GRE. We've seen a lot more students getting in with the test center-based GRE than people who have not given the GRE or have given the home-based GRE exam. So before the end of August, I would actually say before the start of August, but if you're running late, that's still okay. Before the end of August, you should 100% finish the GRE exam. So in terms of the timeline, that's the first thing to do. Finish your GRE exam before start of August, ideally, end of August max. Okay, that's number one. Second question that I get a lot: should I take TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo? What should I do in terms of the English language test? Contrary to popular opinion and popular timeline videos that I've seen floating around, I have a little bit of a contrarian approach to the English language test. I believe that if you are a serious applicant and if you are going to be applying to the top 20, top 30 institutions in the US, chances are that you've studied in English medium school all throughout your undergrad, all throughout your high school and throughout your undergraduate studies. My recommendation would be to wait on the TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo till you have a coherent university list and then start sending out application waivers and sending out TOEFL or English language test waivers to emails to these universities. Once you send out these test waiver emails, you will hear back from universities either waiving the test off or saying no, it's compulsory for Indian students, etc. Depending on how many universities in your list have waived off the TOEFL or the IELTS or Duolingo, you can then take a call on whether you need to take the test or not. So the first thing on your timeline should be to give the GRE. The second thing should be to finalize at least a good set of 10 institutions that you will 100% apply to. And then the third thing is to be sending out emails to these institutions to confirm whether TOEFL is going to be a requirement or not, and then proceeding to taking the TOEFL test or not. After these three steps are over, between the months of August and November is when you sit down, start writing your statements of purpose, start making sure to get in touch with your letters or with your recommenders and giving them your letters of recommendation and getting them to apply or send out the letters on your behalf. And closer to the October timeline, sitting down, filling out all of the information in the application forms that are asked, and then submitting the applications by December 1. That's a coherent timeline altogether. Start of August, end of August, finish GRE. Start of August, end of August, make sure you have a coherent list of universities that you can send out emails to for TOEFL waivers or English language test waivers. Take the TOEFL or the IELTS or Duolingo, depending on what the university says. Finish applications by November 1st. November 1st has to be your internal deadline to finish all applications in order to make sure that you have the best shot at getting into some of the really good universities. All right, let's take a bunch of questions. I'm going to take questions for the next 15, 20 minutes, so keep them coming. Some universities for ECE focus towards embedded systems, 8.05, 315, etc. Okay, sure. Couple of universities that I've visited in this leg of the US visits have been University of Southern California, UCLA, and a couple of others here on the West Coast. My recommendation as a safety institution, definitely have University of San Jose State University and California State University, Sacramento. We've seen Intel, NVIDIA, and AMD hire regularly from these institutions. Couple of your ambitious options should be USC, UCSD, 100%, and then mid-tier, Purdue, Texas A&M, etc. So those are institutions that make sense for an ECE guy who's looking to move into specifically embedded systems. 1.3x, you don't need to do 1.3x or 1.2x or anything. If there's an I-20 amount and you're showing the I-20 amount, you should be okay. Is this time to worry? Absolutely not. There's enough and more time to be able to get your visa slot. It's still very early days in June. My recommendation is wait at least 1 second. So wait at least till the end of June before you start to panic a little bit. Even then, I wouldn't panic, man. Like, think about it this way: you're going to be starting in August, depending on the university, August first few days or September first few days, right? Which means that you have till the end of almost till the end of July. I would say third week of July to get your visa. So you're still okay. Just keep looking every day on the slot on the website. You will get your slot. Don't worry. Process is almost completed for Texas Tech MSCS. Yeah, okay, visa acceptance will happen. Don't worry about it. Should I look at other countries? Other countries at this point in time makes no sense. Unfortunately or fortunately, US seems to be the only country that has whatever jobs that it has for international students at this point in time. It might not make sense for you to go elsewhere. It might not make sense for you to go, delay the process or anything. Hope for the best with Texas Tech. You should be able to get through. I don't think that's going to be a problem. All right, let's talk about a couple of things. Before I answer this question, one of the things that I said in terms of my timelines was to make sure that you have your GRE done by either start of August or the end of August. Yeah. In order to crack a really good GRE, and what is a really good GRE? Seeker, by the way, did a very quick short or a video on this. You should go check that out. But in order to be able to get a really good score on the GRE, there's a bunch of tips and tricks that you can employ. We've done one video on that in the past, and there's a webinar coming up for the GRE that Seeker is taking that you should 100% attend. I'm going to have someone put the webinar link in the chat below. Please make sure to sign up for the webinar, attend it if you are still in the process of preparing for and giving the GRE. All right, next question. Here is the GRE tips and tricks webinar. Just make sure to click on that link. You should be redirected to the form. Fill out that form and you'll be registered for the webinar. Best MEM programs to get into product management, according to me, ranking is Dartmouth, Cornell, Duke. Um, Look, man, over the last 10 or so lives, which were focused towards folks that were going for fall 2024, I had a very controversial opinion. My controversial opinion was that Cornell is probably better than Duke. I'm starting to change my answer, having talked to a bunch of people who are graduating from both Cornell and Duke. I'm putting Duke back in second or third position. One university that you missed out here, which is my number one, is Stanford. Stanford is number one, Dartmouth number two, Duke number three, Cornell, Columbia number four and five. That's my ranking for the MEM degree, specifically for um, people wanting to get into product roles. The answer to this question is a yes, is a resounding yes. This year specifically, we've seen a lot of students that have gotten into core product roles, associate product, assistant product sort of roles. Of course, if you have a little bit of work experience, you can make it to the core product managerial roles as well. So yes, it makes sense for you to take up engineering management if you are looking to go into product specific roles. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. We are Gradvine. My name is Suraj. I'm one of the co-founders here. At Gradvine, one of the things that we core belief that we hold is the fact that all of the information that we need that we talk to students about needs to come from on the ground, needs to be well researched, needs to be accurate, and needs to be without any bias. That's what my US trip is gathered to do. I am going on to university campuses, talking to students, talking to as many people as possible, trying to get their sense of the graduating batch, how many of them have gotten jobs, what do research opportunities on university campuses look like, etc. I'm doing this for as many universities that I can fit into my trip. But more importantly, if you want to be beneficiaries of this sort of information, if you want to make sure that you are getting into the right kind of university for your profile, and you want to make sure that you get out with a job after you graduate, please go ahead and schedule your free consultations with us. A free consultation call, of course, like the name suggests, is completely free of cost. On this particular call, we will sit down in detail, go through your entire profile, which is your GPAs, your GRE if you've given it, your projects, your research experience, etc. And then try to answer one of the biggest questions, which is, which degree should I go ahead and pursue? That's the first question that we try and answer. After that, we try and figure out where you fit in terms of the tier of institutions that exist. And then, of course, we pitch some of our services, but I promise that's going to be the most minimal part of the conversation And a lot more is going to be surrounded around your profile, where you need to apply, what sort of institutions you should be looking at, and how do you structure the entire application process from a timeline perspective. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing on the free consultation call. I will leave the link to the free consultation call in just a little bit, but make sure you sign up for a free consultation call. Get on that call, talk to us, because we come with this wealth of experience, and then we'll be able to dive straight into your profiles and make sure that you get the best of the services in terms of getting to a fantastic institution for 2025. I've put up the link on the feed down below. Make sure to go hit that link, and we'll try and answer as many questions on that call personalized. All right, back to questions. Top affordable universities for MSCS which have great job opportunities. When we talk about affordability and fantastic job outcomes, in the top 20, top 25, there's only one institution, actually two institutions that make the most sense from my perspective. You know what? I'm going to expand that to three. Sorry. The first and number one is Texas A&M. There is no beating Texas A&M in terms of return on investment, in terms of the ability to pay off your student loans, etc. If you take one to go study at Texas A&M, cheapest tuition fee in the top 25, fantastic job opportunities after you graduate from a Texas A&M, and overall, in terms of their brand value, reputation, and alumni network, oh, I cannot talk enough about the alumni network. One of the best places to go to. So in terms of top affordable universities, Texas A&M is going to be my number one institution. There are two other institutions that exist. One, actually both of them on the East Coast, one in New York City. Can anybody guess which one I'm talking about? Of course, it's not NYU, it's not Columbia. Which is the other one that's in New York City? Yes, some of you might have guessed it. Stony Brook, the State University of New York, is one of my most underrated, affordable MSCS universities that have fantastic job opportunities. One fourth the cost of a NYU or a Columbia, but exact same opportunities given the location in New York City. It has access to the exact same banking and financial sector, the exact same tech industry, and the exact same job opportunities that you would get if you graduated from an NYU or a Columbia. So my number two spot on affordable universities is Stony Brook. My number three spot is another institution on the East Coast, very close to Boston, University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Another fantastic institution, again, very close to MIT, Harvard, Northeastern, etc., which tend to be slightly on the expensive side. University of Massachusetts, Amherst, State University, public university, affordable, and exact same opportunities as the other ones in Boston. So these are my pick for three affordable universities which have solid job opportunities afterwards. Really good academics, but I'm a fresher. Indian freshers get into Stanford MEM? No, absolutely not. Without work experience, we've seen very, very few people get into a Stanford MEM. My recommendation, stick to the ones that you mentioned on the previous question, that's Madhu Columbia. Stanford's MEM takes a completely different profile to crack. Sure, my favorite kind of question. Can you explain CPT and OPT extension? Absolutely. First, CPT, curricular practical training. The word curricular is very important. If there is an internship or project that you're taking as part of your curriculum during your master's degree, which means that you're still enrolled as a full-time master's student. And on top of that, you either get an internship or a co-op either during the regular fall or spring or during the summer. In order to work, in order to do this internship, you need a CPT, the curricular practical training. You need to apply to USCIS, send in an application saying, I have a job offer from this company for this position for these many hours a week for duration starting X and ending Y. The USCIS will then process your CPT card, which is required for you to formally start working as an intern during the time that you are still enrolled as a full-time student at a master's or a PhD institution, or even a bachelor's institution for that matter. That's CPT. So, just to summarize, CPT is during your time as a master's, PhD, or a bachelor's student. OPT, on the other hand, is after you graduate. After you have graduated, or just before graduating, is when you file for the OPT, but OPT starts only after you have graduated. CPT is during graduation, OPT is after graduation. OPT is optional practical training, the ability for you to work a full time job with a company within your sector for 40 hours a week, irrespective of how much amount of money you're making, is called an OPT, irrespective of whether it's zero as well. Just by the way, in your initial OPT period, you can be a volunteer and not make any money as well. That's okay. In order to get your initial OPT, the first OPT, you do not need to have secured a job. You just need to file for the OPT without any job applications, etc. That's fine. No letter, not required. You get the OPT, which is a natural benefit of your F1 student visa. The OPT, the initial OPT period is 1 year. Once that OPT period is over, if you are a STEM graduate, science, technology, engineering, and math graduate, you get a 2 year further extension on that OPT. So it makes it 3 years of OPT. In order to get that extension, you will have to send in another file to the USCIS. And this time, in that file, there has to be an employer. Your job, your company has to technically sponsor you with a training plan. What are you getting trained on? Some employer contact detail. Who should USCIS get in touch with to confirm that you are an employee at that particular company, and you say what your training plan is and you're adhering to that. Plus, this is the location where you're working. You have to submit that for the STEM extension or the OPT extension to work. Yeah. So CPT is during studies, OPT is after studies, OPT extension is after 1 year of OPT. Hope that is clear. Do most universities have GPA cutoffs? Like I heard, even if you're, yes. So think about it this way, man. If you have a subpar GPA, that's the first black flag. Like it does not make sense for you to get into a really good university, even if all of the rest of the stuff is great, because they are looking at academic stellar profiles, which means that your GPA has to be as high up as possible. If you have something that's less than 7.5, I would say it does not matter even if you've published like 20,000 papers, because the university is going to read that academic GPA as a as an indication that you don't do well in rigorous academic settings, which means that if you have lower than, I want to say, 7, you want to make sure that you apply to the right set of universities in that case. Yeah. Rank Northeastern Bay Area versus Silicon Valley campus for MSCS. Pretty good, especially Northeastern. The biggest opportunity at Northeastern is that co-op, right? Unbeatable in terms of the kind of co-op there is, the kind of opportunities there are in terms of being able to get, you know, jobs, co-ops, and then converting those internships, co-ops, etc., into full-time roles. So from a opportunity perspective, definitely recommend. Okay, so gave me LOR in written. Just ask your prof to submit it on the application portal. I did not understand that. Any tips on the visa interview? I just be yourself, man. It's just you talking to a consular employee. They are not looking to reject your visa. Believe it or not, they are not coming in with the intent of saying, "Hey, Aldridge, I'm not going to let you go." Understand that you were economic contributions to the US. You are going to be spending upwards of 100, maybe $150,000 for the next 2 years overall, 2 to 3 years overall. And so they are not looking at you from a very suspicious perspective to start off with. So first thing that you do is do not give them suspicious vibes, right? Don't go and say, hey, okay, by the way, my brother is here in the US. I'm going to go join him. He has a company. I'm going to go settle down in the US. Keep the suspicion meter as low as possible. Talk about why you want to go to the university. Talk about what your plans are after. By the way, this is one of the questions that's a little tricky. Should you mention the OPT or not? You're 100% likely to, you should 100% mention the OPT. The answer to what are your long-term career goals or short-term career goals should be something along the lines of, I plan to take advantage of the theoretical studies that the university is going to give me during my master's degree. And right after, I'm also going to take advantage of the fact that there is an OPT and take my theoretical learning, apply them in a practical setting before moving back to India after completing my OPT. That's how you want to frame and structure your what are the long-term goals sort of question. Okay, bunch of questions coming in as usual. We're probably not going to be able to get through all of those. So one of the biggest things that I'm going to recommend, and frankly getting a lot tired of doing this every single time, but um, personalized advice needs a lot of back and forth in terms of trying to get a sense of what your long-term goals are, what have you done in terms of projects, what have you done in terms of work experience, what is your GPA, and more importantly, what are your aspirations? Are you someone who's okay just settling for a mediocre institute, or are you someone who's aiming for the best of the best? For me to be able to assess all of these, there are 100 questions that I need to ask you before I'm able to give you, okay, these are the kinds of institutions that you should apply to, etc. In order to get personalized guidance, this is the free consultation, completely free of charge, takes about 30 minutes of your time. And in that 30 minutes, you get a few things that are more valuable than any paid consultations that you will do with any other company. Trust me on this, because I'm sure a lot of our previous folks that are on the live, Moed and a bunch of people included, would attest to that fact. You will get a personalized timeline of when you should start certain things, what should the idea be in terms of submitting applications, etc. You will get personalized recommendations in terms of some universities that make sense for you to apply to. And just for folks who are going to be signing up with this particular free consultation link, I will make sure that we give you a free resume template, which you can use to crack the top Harvard CS type of institutions. These are the resumes that we've taken from students in the past, that we've catered to students in the past who've cracked the top 5 computer science and MEM degrees. And so we'll offer that resume template for you for free as well when you schedule a free consultation call using this particular link. Apart from this, there's also, like I said, another webinar coming up. Seeker is going to be doing, first of all, by the way, when Seeker gave the GRE, this was 2014, 2015, he had a 323. Unlike most of you folks that I know are cheating on the GRE by taking home-based exams, we did not have that opportunity, right? Like we took exams at a test center, and scoring a 323 is no joke. Take it from him himself. He's going to come and talk to you about what are specific tips and tricks for the webinar. How do you manage your time? How do you tackle some tricky questions which are not essentially tricky, just made to spin around a little bit? And overall, the menace for international students, which is the verbal section, he's going to focus on that a lot more as well. So the link to register is probably not showing up. It should show up. Find us on social media and get on that. And I will see you on that webinar as well. All right. Before that, let's look at more questions that you guys sent in. Aeronautical engineering, 8.8, good projects. This looks like, I don't know what for pallets is, I'm assuming patents. What MEM programs would you recommend to get into product? So here's the thing. I don't think what you're saying in terms of product is technically what the definition of a product management is. Product management, especially when you go to an institute like a Duke or a Cornell or a Dartmouth, is more tailored towards getting into software engineering or products that are digital, right? You come from an aeronautical engineering. There's one underrated institution that I don't think many students will or many people will ask you or recommend that you apply to. Actually, there are two. One, Purdue, one of the best mechanical and industrial engineering programs, which I would recommend that you take a look at. If not, and if you definitely want to only go to the MEM, Purdue MEM is still a fantastic choice. The second one, underrated a little bit, but the University of Massachusetts Amherst MEM. Those two come at it from a very technical, mechanical, or engineering focused management science and engineering and MEM degrees. Those are two that you should definitely apply to. How should we switch to MS without having a technical background or work experience? Um, Difficult question, my friend. I think the best possible outcome for you would be to get into a degree like an analytics. So leverage the fact that you have a quantitative background in commerce, right? Leverage the fact that you have some economics during your undergrad, some mathematical background during your undergrad, and get into some data related degree. I think that's going to be the best possible advice that I can give you at this point in time without knowing, of course, too much more about your profile. Definitely schedule a free consultation. I'll ask you a bunch of questions and then go through the answers with you for this. Oh my God. This question has been the bane of my existence for the last 3 years, ever since COVID has made GRE optional. GRE optional does not mean that you do not give the GRE. There are three statuses of the GRE: GRE compulsory, GRE optional, GRE waived off. Irrespective of which one of the universities you're applying to, give the GRE. You guys are undergraduate students coming from technical backgrounds, coming from mathematical backgrounds, who have done, I'm assuming, well in your 11th and 12th grades. You only need 10th grade math, 11th grade and 12th grade verbal to be able to do well on the GRE. Irrespective of whether the university is saying compulsory, optional, or waived, make sure to give the GRE. In the past 3 years, we've seen folks getting a better admit if they have a GRE score, of course, a good GRE score, as compared to people that did not have a GRE score. 100% give the GRE. So I was talking to a couple of USC MEM grads, 2024 grads. So they graduated in May. Out of a class of about 150, 180, I think half of them have been able to get jobs. They're waiting. The other half, my estimation is that in the next 2 to 3 months, will land jobs as well. So it's slowly starting to recover. By the time you guys apply, get in, and finish, it will be 2026 or 2027. By then, the economy would have made a full recovery. And I'm very hopeful and positive in terms of the outlook for graduates that will come out in 2025 and later. So don't worry about it. How many ambitious institution? Is one not enough, Rishi? So the whole point of an ambitious institute is that it's tough to get into. So usually my style of shortlisting is I recommend people to apply to about 10 to 12 institutions. If your profile is good, I put 6 ambitious institutions out of those 10. One we will hit, right? The whole idea of applying to as many ambitious institutes is to make sure that, or is to increase the probability that we get into at least one of those. So the answer is at least one. In some cases, if you have a stellar profile, I've had students that have gotten into all of their ambitious institutions as well. Yeah, man. You should definitely get there in advance. Look up the international student orientation date, and based on that, plan your flight. But the other thing that I would caution you against is finding an illegal off-campus job in your first semester. I'm not a big advocate of illegal part-time jobs in the first place. If you need to, you should talk to someone. Unfortunately, I'm a representative of Gradvine and I'm on a live session, so I can't talk further about this. Maybe schedule a one-on-one and we'll talk about it. But I am very skeptical and apprehensive about students falling into the trap of illegal part-time job starting their first semester itself. So I'd be cautious. Okay, let's. How do they see with their eyes? For US recruiters, the biggest thing that matters is, do you have the skill set? Are you a culture fit? The brand of the institution, if it's playing into this narrative, great. If not, doesn't matter. Yes, absolutely. You will be able to get into really good places. Sign up for a free consultation. We will definitely help you out. Fall 2024 is August 2024, my friend. So sorry, that was the wrong question. Okay, going to Texas A&M. Considering I have no prior experience, what is the best I can do from now to secure a summer internship? First things first, as soon as you land, make sure you get the right courses, right set of four courses for your first semester. Second thing, become very cozy friends with a senior who has already gone through the entire process. So find someone, get their guidance, like become their mentee, just in general, cultivate a really good relationship with some seniors. Third, hopefully this senior has been able to get a summer internship the last summer or actually this summer before you go, and he can put in a word for you. Fourth, as soon as you go in August or September, in October is the first career fair. Prepare for that career fair in terms of the resume, prepare everything that the career center is telling you to do without hope. In the October job fair, you're not going to get anything. You are going to get experience of how to approach a career fair. So these four things you do, by summer you will be able to land an internship. All right, I think that's the end of my time. I have a couple of other meetings to get to. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining in. I want to leave you with a couple of things. First, of course, is the GRE webinar. Make sure to use that link to sign up for the GRE webinar. Seeker's a fantastic GRE coach. He's going to be sitting on that webinar, talking to you and breaking down how you should approach certain sections, etc. And so those are things that you definitely want to make sure that you get. Apart from that, of course, I am tired now of telling you to book your free consultation call. So I'm just going to leave it here. That's the link for your free consultation call. Everything that you need to know from a timeline perspective, from a degree perspective, what you should be applying to, etc., as well as how you should be preparing in order to get to your fall 2025 dreams and aspirations. Right. That was another live session. Our WhatsApp community is buzzing, to use a Gen Z lingo, right? If you are not already on our WhatsApp, make sure to get on that fall 2025 group. I think we have last few seats available. The group has gotten to 1,000 or whatever the limit on WhatsApp is. Last few people here and there that have access to it now. Make sure to get in on that WhatsApp group. Link will be there somewhere else. Um, all the links, etc. Guys, you're smart enough. You click on any video. I'm sure in the comment section, in the description section, rather, you'll find links. Just go follow us on Insta, follow me on LinkedIn. We keep putting out all of these links. So just get onto some of these communities, etc. On the community, both Speaker and I are available. We are answering as many questions as we can. And so there's no better place for you to interact with your fellow applicants as well. So please go ahead and join the community. And as always, have a good weekend. I'm gonna go come back live, I think maybe in a week or so. I'll see you and a bunch of your questions in the meantime on the free consultation calls as well as on the chat, on the WhatsApp chat. All right. Thanks everyone for joining in. Take care. Have a good weekend.